And a last round of podcasts here, just to speed read, do some speed reading interventions into the first part of the reading that we're doing. So this is an annotated text, my annotated text. So how I read and how I negotiate the text. So just going to go over some things here, right? So I write some notes here about contextualizations. So things I've already talked about, contextualizing Sunjata with other epic texts that you might have read, uh, the oral versus textual culture idea, and then the mythopoetic versus historical culture idea. I would say those are the three sort of elements, the three contextualizations that I find to be most productive and generative while reading this text. So, uh, instead of just reading out of nowhere, right, contextualize or problematize your text. Think about it in a certain way or in a bigger way. And oftentimes that will give you entry into the text. So, other sort of things, I put here just notes to myself, right? Reading an oral text and notes on the griot here, right? So in the first part here, we have the griot, right? The first three episodes are really the griot, the Jali, who is presenting himself and the story, right? So he's setting things up, right? So it's a very sort of expansive sort of performance moment, a big sort of introduction, right? So he doesn't hide himself like we're used to with omniscient narrators, right? He's a storyteller. He's right there, right? He's right in front of us, and even in the text, he intervenes, right? So he sort of steps out of the text, right? And so, that's again, how do you feel about that as a Western viewer? That breaking of the fourth wall, uh, where the storyteller, keeps on intervening and saying, "Hey, you're watching a story here. You know that." Uh, that's not always everyone's cup of tea, but it's definitely part of an aesthetic tradition, right? It's trying to keep people, awake and listening to the story by not just, narrating it and going and creating a universe which seems hermetically sealed, um, which is oftentimes what we think of as being a good practice of narrative enclosure. The griot is always jumping around, and then the way he tells the story is sort of all over the place. So, you might find this a little confusing, but it's part of the tradition and it's done with intent.